there's an adoption event tomorrow, so he may or may not get himself adopted. I really hope that for him, so he can start his new life in his new home. Anyway, so today we're talking about the dreaded weekend for people with ADHD. I mean, it's not dreaded because, like, you're not, in most cases, you're not doing work or school. So, unless you got homework, you get to have fun. But especially when you're an adult, it's like, well, I got other things. I got errands to do on the weekend, Like, I have things I should be doing, the should word. But, it's hard to get them done. Like, I potentially partly because of difficulty getting good sleep because of ADHD. Ironically, I mean, especially in the past, I didn't feel like I had really any energy to get stuff done, and I think over time I've been able to improve that, improve the energy level. Just by making sure that I sleep fully, like having a cat in general has helped with that. But even then, like I'll space out a lot, even with medication. I mean, right now I take coffee and ashwagandha. I don't take a medication, but because that seems to work pretty well. But yeah, it is very difficult to consistently get things done on the weekend, just in general. Like, I'm not even talking about like, oh, I'm gonna write a book and then blah blah blah. I'm talking about it's hard to like wake up and then like brush your teeth and then cook breakfast and then maybe take the trash out and then like suddenly it's lunchtime because you kept getting distracted. I'm talking about that kind of level of like struggling to be productive. That's where I've struggled, and I asked other people on Reddit, and like I asked, what do you do? What do you do when you struggle to get things done? Because ADHD is just like making it hard. And I'm sure a lot of like people who don't have ADHD, I'm sure they relate to this too to some degree. So, I might title this like how anybody can, be productive on the weekends. But one person said, and it's pretty agreeable, but why not just not do anything on the weekend? Why not just listen to what your body is likely telling you and just relax on the weekend? And like, on one hand, it's like, depending on the weekend, I might have something that I really should do. Like today, I had to fill out paperwork because of getting my tooth extracted on Monday. I had to get that paperwork done, and it was very irritating because there was no autofill. Thank God I got it done. But there are things I'm sure everyone has to do, like paying bills that still come in the mail by paper for some freaking reason and don't have auto pay. First world problems. So getting those kind of things done, getting your groceries settled, doing any like at-home projects. Like, I still need to set up my second monitor for my work setup. I still haven't done that. So there are things like that you really do have to find the energy to do. But I do appreciate that, and this is something I've really struggled to truly internalize because like, as I've become an adult, I grew up with undiagnosed ADHD, so I would just have to operate on, this is what I should be doing, this is what success looks like. I mean, I was no straight A student, but like I did the, I did the things to keep being, like I studied when I needed to. I didn't do my homework, but you know, I did the things to get through school. You know, I did the assignments. I did, you know, whatever test prep I could muster, and I got through school that way. You know, because there was constantly someone expecting me to do something. You know, but now, you know, a lot of that strong, like, you need to do this by this day, it's mostly gone away, especially outside of school. So, but like, you know, you still want time to be able to relax, you know, because your body needs that, especially when you have ADHD and your brain is working so much harder to get shit done, you know, just the basic amount of like work or school done. You know, it is important to remember that your brain should have time to relax. You know, sometimes you will veg out, and I mean, sure, you shouldn't spend all day vegging out, but that might be what your brain needs every once in a while, just a little bit of veg out time in the weekend. You know, not all day, but like maybe an hour or two here and there throughout the weekend, so that, you know, it is like, maybe it's like flushing out all the gunk so it can focus. I don't know the science behind it, but basically I think it is important to remember that we should incorporate relaxing, because like what I was kind of getting at previously is that you know, we are, the way I survived like not being diagnosed with ADHD, but you know, the way I survived not being medicated for ADHD is just like continuing to do what I felt was expected of me. And then I'm slowly learning what it looks like to essentially live for myself, do what I want to do. I mean, I have to work to make money, you know, I like have to, you know, do a job that, you know, isn't like a hobby of mine, but, you know, I do like helping people, so there are things about it that I like, but like outside of that, it's like, what do I do with my time? And we all need to differentiate between what we want to do with our time personally and what we're, you know, kind of putting in our head that we need to do because society expects it of us. Like, if you know, have on your to-do list, learn how to invest, because, you know, people keep saying that that's like, you know, the key to financial freedom, or just like everyone should learn to invest. Unless you truly, I mean, you definitely need to, you know, set up a 401k, or, you know, if your job doesn't provide a 401k, you know, set up an IRA, you know, so you're preparing yourself for retirement. But like, aside from that, doing like extra stock trading, I mean, if you're only doing that because your dude bro friends told you should, and you find you don't really want to do it, then we all have to build the, you know, self-esteem to kind of say no to those kind of things, you know, like the things that we don't actually want to do. Okay. Also, like, when you set up those periods to relax, like, if you get something done because it just kind of naturally happens, great. But if nothing gets done, you know, that's okay too, you know. When you set up time to relax, you really have to commit to the relaxing bit. Like, you really have to be okay with, okay, nothing is getting done in whatever time period, and that's okay because nothing needed to get done. Like, yeah, you know, like throughout the week, because we're working so hard, we end up being so like exhausted, you know. So our brains get so exhausted because it's kind of like riding a tricycle, to complete journeys that, are meant for bicycles. I don't know if that's a great analogy, but that's how our brains are. Not to say our brains are smaller, but like the dopamine we have to work with is certainly a smaller amount. So our brain is us, and the tricycle is like how much dopamine we have. So, like, that's why, it's good to spend a good amount of the weekend, giving your brain a break. Okay. So, another person, has a different approach. This is for, especially when you have things that you really need to get done, like cleaning and stuff. So what they do is they create a list of the things they need to get done, and then they find the top 3 things that are the most important to them to get done. Like, the top 3 things that they want to get done, and are important for them to get done. And what they do is, they'll figure out how much time each of these things take, especially the top 3 things, and they will set, they call it an egg timer, to figure out, they'll set a timer to get the thing done, and, they just rush, get the thing done in however long they've estimated it takes. And it reminds me of how I get cleaning done now, which is, throughout the day, I'll put on Spotify songs after, like different YouTube videos I'm listening to, like while I work. After each video, I'll put on a Spotify song, and then I'll like use TikTok to, use a cleaning TikTok to go like, okay, within this song, I'm going to wash my bathroom window. Within this song, I'm going to take out the trash. Within, 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to, like, load the dishwasher, because that takes longer than a song, especially if I have to clear out the dishwasher from the last load. But yeah, like, doing things like that, to motivate you, because I normally don't like doing things fast like that. I don't like being pressured to do things fast. But I found that, this whole Spotify do the cleaning in one song thing, because I like listening to whatever song, it's my very curated Spotify. I, am having fun, a little burst of fun. I love music, and I'm just, getting the endorphins or whatever from cleaning a little bit at a time. So it can be hard to get started, because, like, I have to really put myself in that routine. But, and at some point in the day, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm tired, and stop doing that. But I try to do that every day, so I'm getting some clean done every day. But yeah, just saying all that to confirm, like, you could potentially create a sort of schedule of some sort where you, like, put yourself on some kind of timer, in a way that you enjoy, so that you're not feeling any more pressure than you have to when you're doing this cleaning, or whatever task you need to do. Do it within a timer or a song, or whatever else you want to use as a sort of unit of get this done by the end of this. That, again, like, I don't usually like pushing myself like that, but I found it works for me, so give it a shot, see if it actually works for you. You might be surprised. Like, in general, even if you feel like something might not, even if you feel like something kind of doesn't, like, line up with, like, what you think you'll like or not like, it's always good to give it a try, unless you're like deadly against it. It's always good to give it a try. You never know, and that's how you expand and build character. Yay. Okay. And you might need more than the timer gives you. That's okay. Like, if you can, like, build that, like, extra time needed into your schedule, so that, it doesn't really matter. And, like, for this person who, puts, like, 3 things that they really want to achieve in a day, they do more things if they feel like it after they do the 3 things. So, if you've really built up a momentum, sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. I'll be honest. Like, I know a lot of people talk about, like, oh, just do a 5-minute thing and you'll build momentum. Sometimes, some days you will, in my experience, some days you won't. But yeah, it's potentially something that can help you. So, yeah, make that to-do list, prioritize like 3 or however many things. Do those things, within like reasonable time blocks, and see if you want to do anything else. So yeah, that's the other trick. And yeah, last thing, starting is the hardest part. And I agree, like, whatever I'm doing, like, starting is kind of hard, like, especially when you're like me, you have autism, and like changing gears. And I think this is true even for people with ADHD too. Like, changing gears for doing one thing to another thing is difficult. So, because you're like, it's kind of like, going 70 miles an hour for so long, and then suddenly, I need my car to like go down to 50. Like, you can kind of make that immediate change, like, release the gas a bit, but your car is still gonna take a bit to, get to that speed. It's gonna take a minute to, change its tempo, change its momentum. I'm coming up with weird analogies today. But anyway, hope that helps. Like and subscribe and comment, what helps you make your weekends productive, or do you make your weekends productive? Subscribe if you liked it. Also, hi.